A little bit cooler than ideal, but good to go still. But the win's the main thing. It's really windy, as Jack said, down at turn 1 and all that first section. It's going right in your right-hand side, but in your face as you come into the hairpin. That helps you a little bit slowing up. So that's it, Matt. We're getting kicked off the grid. Back to you.
Get yourself into the nice warm commentary box there, James, because it doesn't feel like 19 degrees out here, Shaky, does it? Who do you fancy for this one?
I don't care what the weather does now, because Jack Barnacle's lent me a coat. I'm fully equipped. I'll stand out here all day if you want. I think Jack Kennedy's got this covered, to be honest. I'd love to see Brad Jones go with him and take the fight to him. I'd love to see Brad take his first win. But I think Jack just seems to have a little bit in hand. Alistair, whilst he said he needs to find something, he never gives up. He's going to come through. He's a Sunday man, and yeah, hopefully we'll get some more shenanigans to keep us glued to the screen.
Well, I'm sure we will, because the Supersport class always delivers, regardless of the year, regardless of the riders. Here we go then, warm-up laps underway for the feature race here at Knockhill. Let's cross back to James Whittam, who hopefully has made it to the commentary box now, alongside Jack Barnacle.
And the first thing I must do before I forget and regret is wish a very happy 65th birthday yesterday. Milestone year for a somewhat distant relative, Mr. Ian Barnacle, a BSB enthusiast who's here this weekend. Comes from Middlesbrough, just across the River Tees from where I was brought up. His wife Terry also enjoyed her birthday on Friday. And they're regulars at British Superbikes. And of course, many northeasterners here at Knockhill, because this is very much their local track, with no longer having visits to Croft Autodrome. The championship standings at the moment, Alistair Seeley on 175, still has that 5-point advantage over Jack Kennedy. Also very much in the mix is Brad Jones. They are well clear of True Love Ben Wilson. My apologies, Ben, he pulled me up for referring to him as the veteran of the class when he says I'm only 37, Alistair Seeley's 39, approaching 40. Yes, sir. My mistake. It won't happen again. Flashing through the screen then was Storm Stacey. The Superstock 600 rider is starting from the back of the grid. Remember, some of the Superstock 6 guys can actually come in and compete in Supersport and get a taste of this action. This is what the grid looks like. Kennedy on pole alongside Lee Johnston and Brad Jones. Brilliant 4th place for Rory Skinner, who you remember had to start from the back of the grid in the sprint race this morning in the rain, ahead of Alistair Seeley and Richard Kerr. 3rd row, Ben Wilson, the non-veteran, alongside Kyle Ryde, the GP2 bike, and James McLaren. And then Mason Law, Ross Patterson, who was also very impressive, and Sam Munro. Both of those Scottish boys really impressed before they both fell during the wet race this morning. So preparing to go then with the feature race, 26 laps, so it's a long one. But at the moment, the weather looks well, with a wind as strong as this, because it's perishing along pit lane, blowing up pit lane. It's going to make things very interesting indeed. Alistair Seeley there in the centre of the picture, still leads the championship. Can he take a win? So 24 riders on the grid then. This is the Dickies British Supersport and British GP2 Cup. We're at Knockhill. What a start for Kennedy. Good start as well for Alistair Seeley. He goes for the inside line and gets the better of Lee Johnston, who's sluggish again. Skinner comes right round the outside, confident in his knowledge of this track. And the teenage Scotsman is in there in 4th place.
Yeah, Lee Johnson got the worst of that. He came across, tried to get to the middle of the track, found Brad Jones there and had to just back it off, so he's got back to about 7th or 8th.
Ben Wilson makes a brilliant start as well on that distinctive orange and green gear-link Kawasaki.
Yeah, really impressed with Ben, coming back from a really big load of injuries and doing really well at this. Ooh, hang on.
Straight away, you can see that Bradley Jones is
keen,
hanging in, keen to make a move there, as we see Lee Johnston do just that, get ahead of Richard Kerr, and Kyle Ryde takes advantage as well and dives inside Kerr on the GP2 Kalex and goes past him up the hill.
Yep, Kerr from Kilmacrennan in Ireland there. We were chatting with one of his sponsors yesterday.
So the leaders, Kennedy and Jones, again on the Integro Yamahas. Then look at Skinner now in 3rd place. Remember, this is a lad who didn't have a ride after becoming the British Talent Cup Championship last year. Talented indeed he is, and he was picked up by Chris Walker off the Kawasaki. And look at the way he's going. There's another Kawasaki. in bright green. Ben Wilson pestering Alistair Seeley. So the two veterans together, the 39-year-old leading the 37-year-old, ahead of a very keen Johnston, number 13, and an even keener Kyle Ryde, who makes a move up the inside. Ooh, people... there's a kind of coming together sometimes, right at the centre of the hairpin.
Exactly. Yeah, that was Lee Johnston wanting the same bit of track as Kyle Ryde. Lee Johnston looks to have the horsepower with the Yamaha up the straight compared to the GP2 bike. But didn't.
No, but didn't, because Alistair Seeley is there in front of Kyle Ryde. And then Ben, look at Kyle Ryde's riding style. It's just great. And of course, we just always expect that hustle and bustle from Ben Wilson, number 15. Yeah,
it's a different bike, is the number 77. It's a GP2 bike. It's a leading GP2 bike in the championship and in this race. That's a Calex. It's a completely ground-up racing chassis, not developed from a road bike. A little bit less power, but it's got slicks. It's got slightly better brakes, better suspension. And that's Wilson nearly out the seat and holding Johnston up a little bit.
But I think Johnston got the better drive, and Wilson stepped out and lost that little bit of drive up the hill. Skinner's riding a corker here. Remember, he missed victory by a sliver as a wild card in the stock 600 race last year.
Skinner's a great little rider. It really is. We've seen him in the lower championships now for 3 or 4 years, and from being a young kid like 14, 13, he's been touted as the next big thing. A good rider, Skinner.
Look at great, and quite a modest little character as well. Skinner running in 3rd place. Kennedy and Jones running at the front on those really beautifully turned out Robin Appleyard Yamahas. Skinner knows how much of that curve he can use coming out of the hairpin. He uses a massive amount. Kennedy set the fastest lap on the previous lap, 49.371 on that lap. 49.37, 49.4 for Jones, 49.9 for Skinner, 49.317. Fastest lap of the race for Kyle Ryde in 4th place. This is the battle of the Supersport guys, then behind Ryde. Seeley ahead of these two, Wilson and Johnston. Typically, Lee Johnston saying to you with that understated chuckle he'd fancy another podium, but he's not looking like he's going to get one just at the moment. Number 5, Mason Law, of course. Oh, wow! Huge moment for Jamie Perrin, who's running right behind Law as the 3rd GP2 bike.
Yep, here comes Johnston up the inside of Wilson at the hairpin. That really should work cleaning up, although Ben Wilson's got a good drive out there, dropped it wide and got a good run.
And look, you can see Johnston glancing across at it to say, Bloyd, where did he come from? We're on the 6th lap of 26. Jack Kennedy with a 0.2 of a second lead over teammate Brad Jones, and they've got 2.3 seconds advantage over Rory Skinner.
Yeah, I think Johnston cost himself any chance of certainly a win, but more probably a podium as well. With his start, didn't launch too well, got involved in a bit of a fracas with Brad Jones off the stand and had to close the throttle, otherwise they would have touched and dropped right back.
Just checking out Storm Stacey inside the top 20 on his stock 600 bike. And once again dropping down the hill into Duffer's Dip. Here comes Jack Kennedy, father-to-be. I'm very happy about it, especially as he's timed it so brilliantly for November and therefore not interfering with his racing season.
Yeah, you've got to do that. Did exactly the same myself.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, Ruby born at end of November. You don't want him messing your season up, do you?
Kennedy, fastest lap of the race on the last lap then, 49.266. And behind them, Skinner looking really fine in 3rd place, and then Ryde as the leading GP2 bike. So Seeley actually from a point-scoring position in 4th place as we watch Lee Johnston again have a go. Now, can he make it work this time? This time he nudges Ben a little further wide. Oh, but then he has a huge moment, and that turning that Yamaha tight isn't quite working for him. The Kawasaki barrels past again.
Yeah, and they're getting caught as well.
Yeah, because here's Jamie Perrin, number 75, and number 5, Mason Law, and Richard Kerr in 10th.
Yeah, this is Johnson up the inside of Wilson. Nearly came together. Wilson looks to see if anybody's on his inside, cuts it tight. Meanwhile, Johnston tries to get on the gas a little bit early to stay in front of Wilson and loses the rear.
And you can see that Ross Twyman on the second gear in Kawasaki is having a decent race. He's been struggling to adapt to it really this year. He's running in 11th place, locked together with Patterson.
Here comes Perrin on the white and red bike. That's the GP2 bike. Should have slightly better brakes and slightly lighter. It's about 25 kilos lighter, and that'll definitely make a difference when it's going to stop it from perhaps 140 miles an hour down to about 30.
25 kilos, that's in old money, that's about 50 pounds. That's a heck of a difference.
That's about the same weight as you sitting on the back, Jack, that is.
Well, that must make an enormous difference.
Yeah, no, it's quite a big difference in terms of weight, is that. That said, Perrin is bigger than Lee Johnston. I reckon there'll be sort of 20 kilos difference in their weight.
This is a 26 lapper. We're on the 9th lap of 26 and running for once in clean conditions, which we've rarely had during the course of this weekend. Don't know how much power these things give off. I know they rev to a prodigious degree, but they certainly pull out of that hairpin impressively, James, because that's a long haul up the hill.
Yeah, top Supersport bike now produces top side of 140 brake horsepower. Actually, Supersport bikes don't produce much more than in my day all them years ago, because we were allowed little bits of different rules. We could run cams and rods and all sorts of stuff that's been cut out of the regs now. These are a lot more standard engines. So these have around about 140 horsepower, 142. We had about 135 maybe back in the day, because we're allowed to tune them a lot more. But they are still a lovely bike, these. 160, 170, 168, 175 kilos ish, the way they're lovely.
And there's some good scraps going on with Ben Wilson levering his way past that black GP2 bike of latecomer, the ABM Quattro Racing Triumph of Ben Fleet's Mason Law. Oh, Law thoroughly sideways. Wilson goes inside him. Kerr tries to find a way through the middle.
Yeah, Perrin goes up the inside of Johnston as well there. Johnston took it in the back of him. Should be able to get past with the Supersport bike. Should be a little bit quicker than, even though the GP2 bike's lighter, it's less power. They're on about 125, 128 horsepower, so they're a little bit behind in terms of power. Perhaps about 10, 12 horsepower back, and that was the difference on the straight you saw there.
So Johnston just ahead of the Nova Racing Transmissions, Go Racing Developments chassis factory of Kettering's Jamie Perrin.
Yeah, Nova Transmissions are a real trick company. They reproduce, well, they make anything, and in terms of gearbox and cutting gears and shafts for gearboxes, they are they're just British geniuses is what they are. They're brilliant people, a brilliant company.
Richard Kerr makes the move there inside and makes it. Oh no, I was going to say, tried to get inside Ben Wilson, and Ben was having none of it. The elbows came out and he edged the Irish lad aside.
Yeah, Kilmacrennan is where Richard Kerr's from. It's in Southern Ireland, but it's actually right at the side of Northern Ireland. It's up sort of top left, if you like.
And as Ross Twyman's actually closing on that bunch. Twyman with a 50.5 second lap on that lap. But 49.2, Jack Kennedy's last lap, identical to Brad Jones. You can see that there's no gap between them at all. You always get the impression that that kind of cleft-jawed lad in second place, Brad Jones, is going to finally, if he gets a breakthrough, you know, wins a race, then that's going to make a huge difference for him.
Yeah,
because he's edging closer all the time.
He is, but I don't think he's short of confidence anyway, Jack. It's not a confidence thing with him. I think he knows he's quick. He's had no problem staying with Seeley or Jack Kennedy, you know, the recognised masters of this class at the minute, and he's had no problem stopping with them.
And there's third place Kyle Ride. There's number 11. And here's, that's the number 41 that's been lapped. He's Alistair Seeley. So Alistair Seeley is a load behind Rory Skinner. He's behind him by about 5.8 seconds. A lot of ground to make up to gain more points and protect his championship lead, which at the moment, James, he would lose given the points on board. 25 for Kennedy against 13 for Alistair Seeley. Richard Kerr's gaining confidence, isn't he? Because remember, he's a lad who's spent quite a lot of time in Motor 3. Yeah. So he's... And it's not all... Oh, a problem for Lee Johnston.
He's out. There's something wrong with the bike, maybe.
He's pulling... No, he's starting again.
What's happened there, then? Well, if there was something disastrous there on with the bike, he was perfectly positioned there to get in the pits, but... What's going on there?
So Johnson crosses the line in 15th place. more or less rejoins the race on the Ascot Racing Yamaha. He's still got a dozen laps to go, but
yeah, he ain't gonna get another podium.
He certainly isn't, no. So disappointment then for the General, as we lovingly call him. He's behind Harry Truelove and Bradley Peary. This is the group at the front. Well, the pair at the front. Brad Jones, heating engineer, working for his granddad. And the lap record has just been taken by Brad Jones. So the 21-year-old then takes a lap record here.
Yeah.
He has had a single victory in his time. Of course, back in 2016, he won the first round of the Superstock 600 Championship at Silverstone. But looking for a taste of victory in the Supersport class.
He don't make many mistakes, you know, Brad Jones.
No,
not that Jack does, but clean, tidy.
Both of them are very clean.
Yeah.
If you're going to learn from someone, Kennedy's obviously a fairly good role model. These two guys, of course, Kennedy 10 years older than...
Yeah, they get on really well. It's a really good atmosphere in the team, run by the Appleyard family from up there in Keighley. Been running Appleyard motorcycles for years and years. That's Colin, the dad, sadly missed, but now run by his son that I race with. That's Robin Appleyard. Good rider his time, Robin, runs a tight ship, but also helped by his mum, Peggy, and his wife, and it's a proper family affair. Now he's over now, by the look of it, for Lee Johnston.
Looks like a gearbox issue.
I think you're right, yeah. Well spotted there, Jack. I'm proud of you there.
Well, you remember that all my riding experience was on English bikes that had the gear change on the right-hand side, so I just have to think for a moment before I say that. Yeah, we've been meddling for the left-hand side.
Yep.
Richard Kerr, number 7, still in there on ahead of Ben Wilson, therefore running in 8th place overall, but with 3 GP bikes, 2 bikes ahead of him. That puts him in on 5th place points. There's Mason Law just ahead of him in black. Mason Law, of course, making his debut, a successful debut, winning one of the races at Brands Hatch GP circuit a few weeks ago. Yeah,
Mason dropped out the superbike class after a season that was hard work for him. Knocked himself about a little bit. Did him? I mean, he rode all right, but he hit himself a bit.
Here the two dynamic young Scotsmen, Sam Monroe ahead of Lewis Patterson.
Yep.
Both of them fell in the dicey conditions this morning, but and both of them enjoying a good scrap, as they must have done on many occasions here. This is a battle for 11th place behind Ross Twyman and just ahead of Bradley Peary. Actually, you spoke to the young Monroe on the starting grid, didn't you?
Yeah, quite nervous. Said that, look, you know, I made a mistake, went up the inside. What are you going to do? It was my chance to sort of shine, you know, and... he said I was confident with the conditions, and I had a go, and you know, you can't blame him. I'd have done exactly the same in that position at his stage in his career.
On to the 18th lap of 26 then, and Brad Jones as close as he's ever been to number 1, his team leader, Jack Kennedy, the reigning champion.
Has he got something left, Jack? What do you reckon?
Jack does tend to seem to me to...
We're asking you, Jack. Do you think... You were talking about Brad. Has Brad got something left, Jack? Sorry, I think
Brad might have something left, but I think Jack is a very acute judger of a race, a very shrewd judger of a race. And I think he often seems to have a little bit left towards the end.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Wherever Brad's got left, I think Jack will have something for him.
So the two of them then ripping round Knockhill really impressively. Jack Kennedy, of course, did the double here when he's on his way to the championship. So this is a track that he finds suits him rather well. He was on the podium in every race he completed last year on his way to the championship. 11 wins, 10 seconds, 1/3.
Yeah, that's some record, isn't it?
Of course, remember, you know, a 7th place finish in British Superbikes during those 2 seasons, 2015-16, just before he got injured. When he looked like he was beginning to really adjust to the bigger bike.
He's a really good rider. I don't think he's got the best run at his British Superbike time. I think it's not just that he's suited to these Supersport bikes and he can't ride the big ones. I think he probably could give him a different chance.
And I believe these two lads are going to have an outing in the World Supersport round at Donington Park next weekend, James.
They are, they are. Hoping for top 10. I think Jack's hoping for a little bit more.
And suddenly we're getting guys getting lapped here. I think that was Jake Archer who's just got past, and also number 50, Joel Boroboom, the Netherlands rider on the JB50 Racing Honda. Both of them, of course, GP2 bikes. Another man also gets swallowed up there, number 9, Phil Wakefield. I love the way you said, by the way, up at Keighley, and I suppose from where we are now, down at Keighley.
It's very much down at Keighley, but it's just up from where I am. I used to get my spares when I was first racing two-strokes back in the 80s. I used to get on my road bike and nip over with a backpack on and go and buy my spares from Colin Appley yards in Keighley.
Where? Oh, well,
that's not in a good position. That's one of the GP2s, I think.
Yeah.
That's Perrin, I think.
I think that was JB Perrin who was having a strong ride. Perrin was running right up there as a potential second-place finisher in the GP2 class.
Yeah, they just need to get hold of this thing and drag it as hard as they can back away from that position.
Jack Kennedy wheelies across the top, 49.51 against 49.662. Could this be the point where the experienced Kennedy just begins to be able to pull the pin a bit? That bike had got quite a long way out of the hairpin before it ejected its rider.
Looking at that, it is,
it's lost the front.
It's a really weird thing. Sometimes when you open the throttle, it can unload the front. It is unusual, though, for that to happen.
Brad Jones look how he takes that wide entrance to Clark's and to try and get himself a good run through Hizzies. And this is one of the batch, Lloyd. Look at that, Storm Stacey on his stocker is just behind the Wigleys as they come tearing up the hill here. Storm Stacey now running in 17th place behind Sam Wilford, Tom Strudwick and Kurt Wigley.
Good rider, he's Storm Stacey. I tell you what, he's all right.
He's a good show by the lad, isn't it?
He's different. He's different. He's seen in the paddock with a three-piece suit. With a waistcoat and everything, top hat, he approaches things a little bit different, but nice kid, really nice kid.
And look at that, he's running with Wigley, and that's really quite impressive, because we know that the Wigleys are pretty handy riders around here. Well, around every round, in fact. So, and especially number 66, Kurt Wigley on the SorryMate.com Racing Yamaha. They're about to get swallowed up by the leaders. It's going to be fairly important to Kennedy where he comes across these guys. He could do with it not being in the weavy bits just after they've gone over the crest.
Right,
and look, Stacey's so aware that the 6-foot teenager pulls over and lets these two guys through.
Yeah, really clever lad. He'll know that there's nobody behind him now, so he can get stuck in again.
Yes, he could, of course. He could just follow them up, perhaps, to Wigley and challenge him, in fact, you know, potentially.
He's going to struggle with the fastest men on the track who are on Supersport bikes.
See guys looking over their shoulder to see what's going on. And, of course, with GP2 guys ahead of him right now, Storm Stacey would score points in his debut in Supersport as a wild card. On the 24th lap of 26, and Jack Kennedy could certainly get the better of Kurt Wigley here, but Brad Jones isn't close enough, I don't think.
He's going to get down the inside anyway, I think. No, it's going to cost him time, though. It's definitely costing him time.
So completing the 24th lap of 26, Kennedy goes for the inside to see if he can... Oh, and of course, those two guys are fighting so hard with each other.
Yes.
They're not going to realise that Kennedy's there, but he's put two of them right where Brad Jones didn't need them to be.
Yeah, Strudwick and Wilford, that is, both on GP2 bikes.
Oh, Skinner's in trouble. Skinner was headed for a certain rostrum finish, and the bike has stopped. Oh, Rory.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. What a lovely ride that was.
And that puts Seeley up into 3rd place in the race. Not in the actual race, 4th in the race, but 3rd place amongst the Supersporters, 16 points against 25. So Kennedy, if he finishes in the lead, will retake the championship lead, but not by as much as he might have expected.
Yeah, I mean, Seeley said to me on the grid and all weekend, he said that he's missing a little bit of something in terms of setup and speed, and you can't really find out what it is, and it was always going to be a damage limitation exercise. Do you know what it can be? It can be the fact that your riding style or whatever you like in a track doesn't suit this particular track. There's different riders go differently at different circuits, and it could just be as simple as that. And they're chasing a setup that they're never going to find because of that.
So Jack Kennedy then hasn't been chasing any kind of setup all weekend. He's just looked so comfortable in all conditions. as he makes his way up to Taylor's hairpin on the final lap. Then it is going to be the man who hates any form of odd number. He says it's really OCD about it, but strangely enough, I seem to like the number 1. He retakes the lead in the Dickies British Supersport Championship with a splendid victory ahead of his teammate Brad Jones. Third place will go to Kyle Ryde, the leading GP2 rider. Storm Stacey wheelies across the line, 16th overall. Good ride by him. Kyle Ryde crosses the line, and Salister Seeley just now drops into the hairpin, and the wee wizard will lose. It's damage limitation for him here at Knockhill. He loses the lead in the championship, but not by that much. I think 4 points will separate the 2 Irish lads at the end of the race. Mason Law crosses the line in 5th place. Ben Wilson, 6th for him, but 2 GP2 bikes ahead of him means that he gets 4th place. But for Kennedy, who's been relaxed and happy all weekend, and Storm Stacey there, I don't know whether Storm was gesticulating with...
Your class dominating once again, Carl.
Yeah, it was a good race. The wind really affected me, and the bad grid position from the lap time this morning didn't help, being 8th on the grid. But now I managed to work my way through to 3rd. I had a good 10-lap stint, see if I could catch these 2 boys up, but the gap stayed the same, and that was when I had a gap behind, and I managed to call it a day, really, and just bring it home, another 25 points, and yeah, good trip to Scotland.
Absolutely, job done. Well done, Kyle.
Just like to thank Ryan and my dad and Alistair, because this weekend with the weather, obviously, we must have changed the bike 6 times, bless them. So big thanks to them. Obviously, it's paid off. Thank you.
Well done. And in 3rd place in that Supersport race is Alistair Seeley. Congratulations, Alistair, especially after you said things weren't really working for you this weekend. Really nice to get on the podium after DNF this morning.
Yeah, I didn't really expect it, especially in that race. Rory Skinner was, I could see him going in the hairpin every lap, and then I thought I'd finished 4th in the race, but just across the line I got a 3 card stuck out for me, so I thought it was where my Supersport position. I was a bit confused, really, but it's good to lie on the kitty litter and get taken out and big championship done, and then stepping back on the podium is good. Obviously EHA Racing, thank you to them. Podiums are always good, and it's nice to leave here. You know, it'd be probably one of my bogey circuits. We didn't nail the setup all weekend, and I wasn't that comfy in the dry, to be honest. So to come away with the podium, I'm happy. And yeah, it's quite blustery out there. I think I almost folded the front on the first lap. I was a bit hesitant after that. We had a few hiccups on the line as well. I was nearly going to pull the bike off the line. It was just misbehaving. I think it might have been from the crash earlier. Something happened. So we salvaged it out. We stayed in the race, and look what happens. We got a podium, so it's all good.
Awesome job, Alistair. Well done.
Thank you.
2nd place today, Brad Jones. Brad's 2nd place, but you did get the lap record, so consolation there for you.
Yeah, that's it. It's I think that might be the first time I've ever had a lap record, so happy with that. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that race. I learned a lot, as always. Me and Jack were setting a really hot pace, and unfortunately the back markers sort of put pace and we make an attack at the end. But it would have been difficult to make a pass at the chicane because Jack's so strong. But you know, it was tricky. The wind was really strong. There's a few areas where I've had a couple moments. So, but yeah, happy to bring it home in 2nd. Lap record. It's a big bag of 20 points. And I'm now looking forward to going to World Supersport next weekend as a wild card and see what we can do there. But I'd just like to thank the Integro Appleyard Macadam team for putting a great package together, and also giving me the opportunity for next weekend. So thanks a lot.
Absolutely, well done, Brad. And then our winner 2 times this weekend is Jack Kennedy. Awesome job again. Well done, Jack.
Yeah, really happy with that race. You know, we wanted a dry race this afternoon, and we got one. The wind was a little bit hard to contend with and to judge, and it changed throughout the race. And my God, did my teammate keep me honest in that race. I was banging out a 10th off the lap record every lap, consistent as possible, and I just had +0 the whole time. I was like, fair play to him. He kept me honest the whole race. I think the only reason I got a bit of a gap at the end was the back markers, which were hard to contend with. But yeah, delighted. Team Appleyard Macadam done an amazing job. The Integro R6 was amazing again, and we've turned the championship around. We go out here leaders, double podium. Couldn't be happier. Big thanks to everyone who helps me and gets me here.
And again, sets you up nicely, like Brad says, for that wild card next weekend at Donington.
Yeah, it gives us a lot of confidence. Get Brad too, because he's come on leaps and bounds. So yeah, double win now going to Donington. I can't wait to show the world stage what we can do.
Excellent. Good luck for next weekend.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, perfect weekend really for Jack Kennedy. Ben Curry talking to him before that race.